Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, gentlemen? Hope you are doing fine. Let's start with compressors. Now, what is a compressor? A compressor is a mechanical device that increases the pressure of a gas. Now, we have learned about pumps, okay? Compressors are similar to pumps. In pumps, we push the pumps push the water or liquid, oil or water. But here in compressor, you are pushing or increasing the pressure of gas. Both increase the pressure on the fluid and both can transport the fluid through a pipe. So both of them are same. One is working on liquid, other is working on gas. So in compressor and pumps there is no much difference except the liquid which the fluid which they are dealing with. Now the difference, as gas is compressible, the compressor also reduces the volume of gas. Now what happens when a pump pushes the water? It will not reduce the volume of the water, but here the gas is compressible, so the compressor will also reduce the volume of gas. That means you can store large quantities of gas in small container if you use compressor. Liquid is relatively incompressible. This is the only difference. These 2 points are only difference. The remaining everything is same. The classification, types, names, but inside parts will be different. So let's go on and study. Now, classification of compressors. You see the chart. It looks same as pumps. Okay, the only difference is here, double acting, single acting. Okay, remaining everything is almost same. See, compressor types: positive displacement, dynamic. Now in positive, reciprocating, rotary. In dynamic, centrifugal, axial. Okay, and now in rotary, lobe, screw, liquid ring, scroll, vane. Now in reciprocating, diaphragm, double acting, single acting. Okay, we will study about this in detail. What is single acting, what is double acting, what is diaphragm. Okay, let's go. Now, positive displacement pump. Now compressor operate by forcing a fixed volume of fluid from inlet section of the compressor into the discharge zone of the compressor. As I told you before, in positive displacement, why it is called positive displacement? Because there is no need to do priming and the area is so tight. The clearances between the pump or compressor parts are so tight that there is no chance of escape of anything. Okay, so it compresses by force, by fixed volume. There is no chances of escaping of any air or water in case of pumps. In case of compressor, air or gas. Increases the pressure by reducing its volume. Okay, now there are in positive displacement pumps, there are two types. What are they? They are reciprocating and rotary. Reciprocating means to and fro motion, like this, to and fro motion. Rotary motion means rotary motion, circular motion. Now let's study the detail about positive displacement pump. First one is reciprocating pump. So reciprocating pump, as the name says, this meaning of this word reciprocate, that means to and fro motion. Like from one point it will start, go and come back to the same point, like a car engine. In your car you have piston and cylinder. Piston is doing what? Reciprocating motion. So now these compressors or these pumps are similar to a car engine. You know, they look like they have cylinder, they have piston, they have crankshaft, they have connecting rod, similar things. Okay, now reciprocating compressor uses pistons driven by crankshaft, as I told you, to deliver the gases at high pressure. Okay, why we use compressor? We can use fans or blowers, but fans give us a low pressure, blowers give us medium pressure, and if we need very high pressure in industries, we need very high pressure for different processes. So if you need very high pressure, you use compressor. For example, in your car tire, you fill the air. You need how much bar you need? I think we need almost 2 to 3 bar or something, and it's like in psi, 30 to 35 psi, right? So that if we need that much pressure, we use compressor. You see that air coming from the if you go puncture shop, you see the air coming from the compressor to fill your tires. Now this reciprocating compressor is divided into three types. What are they? Single acting, double acting, and diaphragm. Let's study what is this single acting, double acting, and now let us discuss about single acting compressor. Okay, now if you see, it looks like similar to IC engine. You have inlet, you have outlet, you have cylinder, you have piston, you have connecting rod, you have crankshaft. Okay, same way, if the piston goes down, it sucks air, and when it comes up, it delivers air with high pressure. Okay, intake, we call it here inlet, here it is outlet with high pressure. Here is the air pressure is low, here it is high, same thing. Okay, simple form of compressor. Now how does it work? You see the similar working. You can see intake, exhaust. Intake valve opens when the piston goes back. Now exhaust valve opens when the pistons comes back. You see, okay, this is how it works. Similar to IC engine. Okay, connecting rod, crankshaft, piston, cylinder, everything is same. Okay, let's move back to the simple form of compressor. Now double acting compressor, you have this here. What is this? Double acting compressor. Now what is double acting compressor? What is the difference between single acting compressor and double acting compressor? Now double acting compressors use both the sides, side 1 and side 2, both the sides. Here you see the piston here, side 1 and side 2. Double acting compressors, they use both the sides of piston for air compression, doubling the capacity of given cylinder size. Now for the same cylinder they have double capacity. How they have double capacity? They use both the sides of piston. You see, 2 inlet valves, 2 outlet valves. So this side also will be used and this side also will be used. Same you have seen, I think, single actuator and double actuator in pneumatics. Okay, if you remember, in pneumatics you have seen double acting cylinder, single acting cylinder as an actuator. So similar principle, you know, the piston faces the air in both the sides. So now this will this compressor these compressors may be single or multi-stage depending on the discharge and horsepower size. The range of pressure can go up to 10 HP. The range can go up to 10 HP horsepower with the pressure going to 50 psi. So they are very high in pressure. So they use both the sides basically. The rest is same: crankshaft, connecting rod. Okay, this is cross slide. It will help them the connecting rod to guide. Okay, so this is similar to car engine, but not car engine. This one is not similar to car engine. Single acting cylinder, single acting compressor is similar to car engine, but this one has unique feature, like it will compress the air both the ways. Okay, now here is the simulation. You can see this is the piston, this is the connecting rod. Now you see how it works. Now let's focus on the first one. Okay, when it goes down, the inlet valve opens, and when it's come back, it compresses and sends air. Okay, in the same pipe. Now here, how the other side of the piston, When it goes up, it sucks air, and when it's come back, it delivers air. So now the same piston is delivering, see, more quantity of air. The capacity increase. Instead of one compressor, instead of two compressors, if you use two single acting compressor, you can use one double acting compressor. See, quantity. Okay, that's enough. Let's go to other one now. Diaphragm compressor. Now what is the diaphragm compressor? As the name itself speaks, same like diaphragm pump, this one also is diaphragm compressor. What is a diaphragm? Diaphragm is nothing but a thin member. You see this member? Thin member. In valves, and in also there is diaphragm valve also. Okay, what nothing, it is a rubber member, is a rubber, thin sheet of rubber which compresses the liquid or fluid. A diaphragm compressor is a variant of the classic reciprocating compressor with backup and piston ring and rod seals. Same piston is there, but a diaphragm is used to compress the air. Okay, the diaphragm will suck the air and it will compress the air and it will discharge. This compressor usually is used in industries. This is used for toxic or explosive gases. Okay, we don't see it regularly, but in industries, when they are dealing with toxic or explosive gases, they use this diaphragm compressor. Nothing, the difference is they have this diaphragm. They are also a reciprocating compressor, by the way. Okay. Now rotary compressors. It uses two asymmetrical rotors or a rotor. Okay. So now what is asymmetrical? That means not similar. Like half is different and half is different. Like rotors with half side different and half different. Like two rotors. Here we say two rotors. They are different in sizes or shape. The rotors have very special shape and they turn in opposite direction with very little clearance in between them. Now these rotors, they turn in opposite direction with very little clearance between them. Now in this clearance, the air will be trapped and it will be compressed. The air sucked in at one end gets trapped between the rotors, as I told you, between this clearance between the rotors and stator, and get pushed towards the other side of the rotor. The air is pushed by the rotors and that are rotating in opposite direction, and compression is done when it gets trapped between the clearance between the two rotors, and then it's pushed towards the pressure side. So main thing is two rotors and there is a clearance between them, acts as a compressor. Let's see the remaining. So now types of rotary compressor are screw compressors, vane compressors, loop compressor, and scroll compressor. Now these are the types of rotary compressor. Let's see what are they. Now screw compressor, once you see the screw compressor, okay, you see two screws, okay, compressing the air or gas. Okay, you see the inlet side, okay, the blue color inlet side, and this is the outlet side, air inlet, air outlet, or gas inlet, gas outlet. Okay, you see the action, how they are working. They are quite in operation compared to other types, but they are complex because they have many moving parts, and they can create very high pressure with low and they have very low quantity of very low volume of air. They create very high pressure. Okay, they have many parts. It is complex. Let's go to another one. Vane type of compressor. Now this vane type of compressor, you see, there are vanes. These are called vanes. These are rotating, these are called vanes, and they compress the air. Usually this vane type of compressor, you see, is connected with electric motor. Okay, is also very quiet in operation. Now we have learned about the piston type, single acting, double acting. This piston type, you know, whenever you go to puncture shop, you see when the compressor starts for filling the air, you hear a lot of noise. Okay, huge noise in piston type of compressor. But in this type of vane type and screw type, the noise is very less. They are very quiet. Okay, and very efficient. This vane compressor is very efficient. The efficiency can go up to 90%. They can go up to 90%. So the fluid gets trapped between this clearance, and it is compressed and sent, goes compressed and sent to the out. Now loop compressor, loop type of compressor. Now loop type of compressor are used when high delivery volume and low pressure is needed. Now here, if you want more volume and less pressure, you need remaining other compressors, two compressors, you see the amount of air trapped or gas trapped is very less. In here we see huge amount of air or gas is trapped, and it is sent quickly. That means less quantity of air or gas, inlet and outlet. Looks like two gears, but these are not gears. The profile is different. You call it loop. You call this type of rotating part, two rotating parts, loop. Call it loop. You see the loop here. I think we saw this loop, small loop pump. Loop pump is also similar to this loop compressor. So we saw this loop pump in gearbox small as a cooling system. So usually this type of compressors are used in hydraulic system. You know, they are used in hydraulic system. Okay, clear. Let's go to another one. Scroll compressor. Now scroll compressors, they have this coil, okay, two coils, and they trap the air in between these two coils. Okay, inlet, and the air get trapped and outlet. Okay, so here you see suction. Blue one is suction, and once it goes inside, the red one is the compression chamber. This one is the compression chamber. When it go inside, the path becomes small. The path for the air becomes small, and the air become high pressure, and it comes out from the center. Okay, this is called scroll compressor, like a spring in our watches. You see our watch, if you see hand watch, there is a spring inside the hand watch which make the you know, the hand of the watch rotate. Our needle and the minutes needle, same like this one, scroll compressor. So it compresses through this, and from the center it will deliver. Okay, now this is the action. You see the action. Air goes here, it pushes the air and delivers here. Okay, this is the action, how a scroll compressor works. Now let's move to the advantages and disadvantages of positive displacement compressor. Now here are all the positive displacement compressor. We discussed about reciprocating, diaphragm and screw. These are the important compressors which we see all the time in the industries. Now reciprocating compressors, they have wide pressure ratios and high efficiency. Disadvantages are heavy foundation required, flow, pulsation, high maintenance for reciprocating. Okay, and also the noise is very high. This is not there, but noise is very high. Now diaphragm compressor. The name is very similar. You get confused. Diaphragm compressor, very high pressure, low flow, no moving seal. Okay, and limited capacity range, periodic replacement of diaphragm. Yeah, here the only part which is working very with the air is diaphragm, so you need to replace the periodic replacement of diaphragm. But in here reciprocating compressor, you see the piston with the seal, it is moving up and down all the time, piston rings. Okay, so they get wear out. So here lot of things need to be changed, high maintenance. That's why we say high maintenance. Here only the diaphragm need to be changed, but limited capacity. Now screw compressor, wide application, high efficiency, high pressure ratio, expensive, unsuitable for corrosive or dirty gases, because the clearance is very less. If it is corrosive or dirty gases, it will destroy the compressor. So these are the advantages and disadvantages. Now let's go to dynamic compressors. Dynamic compressors speed up the air to high velocity and then restrict the airflow, so that the reduction in the velocity causes pressure to increase. Now these dynamic compressors similar to our dynamic pumps. Okay, as I told you before, both the classification and application working principles are almost all same. Now here in dynamic compressor, it is divided into two types: centrifugal and axial. Centrifugal and axial, same centrifugal pump, axial. Here axial pump, like same centrifugal, axial. Now let's see what is centrifugal, what is axial. Now centrifugal compressors use the rotation of an action of impeller wheel to exert centrifugal force on gas inside round chamber. Same, there is a casing, there is an impeller, suction pushes the gas or air and exhaust. The gas is sucked into the impeller wheel through a large circular intake and flows between the impeller. See, flows between the impeller and pushes out. Same, refrigerant, gas, or anything which need to be compressed works similarly. In industries usually the centrifugal compressor is a multi-stage centrifugal compressor. You see many impellers inside with it. Okay, now what is axial flow compressor or axial compressor? Now what is the difference here? The flow is axial. Axial means horizontal. We say axial end play or axial play, horizontal. Okay, the meaning is horizontal. Now working fluid principally flows parallel to the rotation of the axis. The fluid flows intake, outlet, inlet, outlet. Okay, now high efficiency and large mass flow rate. High efficiency, this compressor have high efficiency and large flow rate. Okay, now these are dynamic rotating compressors that use array of fan-like airfoils progressively compress the fluid. They are used where high flow rates or compact design is required. See, compact design and high flow rate. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. So multiple impellers or multiple fan blades, or you can say the impeller. You can say multiple impellers. So it is like inbuilt multiple stage, which gives you high rate of. It look like turbine. A turbine. Okay, now advantages and disadvantages of dynamic compressors. Now centrifugal, axial. Centrifugal, wide operating range, high reliability, low maintenance. Okay, the best one centrifugal. instability at reduced flow, sensitive to gas composition change. Okay, the impeller and this thing, they damaged due to the gas. Now axial, high capacity for given size, high efficiency, heavy duty, low maintenance, low compression ratios, limited turn down. Okay, limited turn down means it will not stop for maintenance or failure or something. Okay, it will work. High capacity, high efficiency. Okay, now next see the very important part here in compressor is intercooler. Why we need intercooler? So when you have like two cylinders in compressor, you might have remembered when we discuss about this compressor, we discuss about the compressor, you might remember that there is a intercooler. There are two multi-stage compressors. There are cylinder, one cylinder, two cylinder, three cylinder. Okay, in multi-stage compression, or sometimes there are three compressors in line together. One compressor, then there is another compressor. Now when you compress the air temperature increases. Okay, the temperature of air increases, so that time you have to reduce the temperature of compressed air. Why? If you use hot air in the system, it will create issues with the process, and the parts will also break, or all the get damaged. Okay, so we need to use intercooler to keep the air with high pressure but cool, also cool. So we use intercooler to reduce the temperature of compressed air during the compression stages. Intercooler reduces the volume of air which you use to increase due to heat. So if it's cool, the volume also reduces and you can supply more air. Now compressed air from the first stage enters the intercooler where it is cooled. This air is given as input to the second stage where it is compressed again. The multi-stage compressor can develop a pressure of around 50 bar. If you need high pressure, you need very high pressure. In sometimes in companies there is hydrojetting and there is many air cleaning. Okay, that time they need very high pressure. That time they have to use multi-stage compressor. In between the stage, in between the compressor, here is one compressor, another one here. In between they use intercooler. Now these different types of intercooler. There can be liquid cooled, air cooled, depends on the application. Now troubleshooting in compressor. Let's discuss basic or simple things. I don't want to make it long for you. Simple things and troubleshooting. Now for example, there is lack of power. There is no power in the compressor. Compressor won't start. So check the power supply. Always the wire may be broken or the wire is disconnected or something. You need to check the power supply. Filter. This is very important thing, and I will definitely give you 3-4 questions, many questions on this one, filter, in exam. Okay, so filter, why we need filter, why we use filter. All of you know that the filter is very important in your car. Also in your car, the AC filter in your car, there are how many filters there are in your car. AC filter is there, and there is an engine air supply filter. Okay, for compressor also, we cannot take the air, atmospheric air, directly into the compressor, because atmospheric air has dirt, it has water, it has many things. Maybe it is dirty, it has sand, a lot of things are there. Okay, so we need to use a filter. Okay, compressor will not work properly if you have clogged or dirty filter. If you have a dirty filter, if it is clogged, the supply will be less and the compressor won't work properly. So you have to keep an eye on the filter. Is a must. You need to check the filter. Without filter, compressor won't work efficiently and it will damage very fast. Now thermostat. What is a thermostat? Thermostat is a device which cuts off the compressor. You know, you have seen in pneumatic lab, okay, and also in the puncture shop. The compressor starts, it compresses, and after some time it stops. Why does it stops? Because of this device, thermostat. You set the thermostat for 14 bar. It will compress the air, and if it reach 14 bar, it will cut off the compressor will shut down, so that it not increase the pressure. So it maintain the pressure within the cylinder with this device can damage through sunlight. If you keep the compressor out in the sunlight, if it is the setting is not correct, if it is damaged, so this device need to be checked. The compressor won't stop, okay, and it will go on compressing, and it will create a disaster. The cylinder would burst. Now refrigerant leaks. Now if a compressor is there, okay, in your AC compressors and fridge compressors, okay, when coolant starts leaking in compressor, the unit will not perform correctly and the temperature will fluctuate. Okay, now what happens in our compressor? The coolant which cools the compressor leaks, and the compressor will become very hot, and it will not perform correctly, and that's why we don't feel. Similarly, in our AC in summer, what happens? The compressor won't work properly because it is so hot that compressor couldn't perform well. So the temperature will not get the desired cool temperature. Okay, so we need to cool the compressor as well. This is very important. So you have to keep up an eye for the leaks. Now capacitors. Without capacitor, the power that gives power to the compressor won't work. The capacitor sends a jolt to activate the motor. So capacitor, gives high amount of current to the motor, so that it moves, because initially the motor to move, it needs more amount of electricity. After that it decreases. Okay, now seals. The seal can be damaged and the oil will leak. Okay, if there is a damage in the seal, the oil leaks, the compressor will heat up and it will damage. So you have to keep an eye on seals. Tubes. Now there are intercooler tubes. Okay, there are tubes that cooling the compressor passing by, or the air tubes. You have to keep an eye on these tubes. They may get blocked, or they may get broken or damaged, and they leak. Okay, will create issues also. So lubrication system is very important for the compressor to cool the compressor. So as the compressor accessories, you have safety valve, you have steam trap, you have silencer, you have separators, you have relief valve, you have air dryers. Safety valves provide the safety. If there is excessive pressure, they remove it. Traps, they remove, like steam traps in stationary equipment. These traps, they trap the moisture and oil from the air and drain it. Silencer, the compressor, when you work with air, you see in pneumatic there is a lot of noise. In hydraulic it is less. So this silencer, the compressor, when it works, it produces too much amount of noise. So silencers are used. Separators, they separate the water or oil from air. Relief valves, they are used for same as in stationary. When there is excess, we set the valve for 14 bar. Like for example, we set the tank pressure for 14 bar. If it increases more than 14 bar, the relief valve will open and it will discharge the excess air. Air dryers, they are used to remove the moisture from the air, so that the air is dry. If there is a moisture in the air, it will damage the system. So air dryers are used. Thank you very much for listening. Best of luck.